Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're basically going to act as master mechanics. We are getting squarely under the hood of a highly professional, multi-layered algorithmic scalping system known as the DRW Matrix. Now look, I know algorithmic trading can seem incredibly dense, almost like a black box from the outside. But our goal here? We're going to break down its complex design into a beautiful visual logic. We're going to see exactly how institutional trends, momentum shifts, and volume profiles are literally transformed into mechanical, perfectly timed executions. To truly wrap our heads around this system without getting totally overwhelmed, we're going to use a deconstruction to synthesis approach. That means covering the map, the gears, the engine, and finally synthesizing it all with some hidden gems. So starting with part 1, the map, environment, and levels. Think of this as laying out the exact boundaries of the battlefield. We have to begin with the absolute most crucial piece of this entire map, and that's the center pivot, or CP. This single line dictates the core flow of the whole trading session. And the logic here is wonderfully binary. It's simple. If the price is above the CP, the bulls are in control. If it's below, the bears own the field. No matter how far the price strays, the system treats this center pivot as the ultimate intraday magnet that the price is constantly going to try and return to. Now, day traders actually use this exact cheat sheet to visually anchor themselves to that center pivot right at the morning bell. Consider the structure here for a second. Every resistance line above it, like R1 and R2, and every support line below, S1 and S2, they get their context entirely from where they sit relative to that central pivot. It completely removes the emotion from the equation and replaces it with pure geography. And you can see how this neatly turns your morning game plan into pure mechanics. Look at the long bias, right at the 9:30 a.m. open. If you're above the pivot, you're looking to buy the pullbacks, aiming for those R1 and R2 targets. Conversely, if you open below the pivot, boom, you are instantly in a short bias, looking to sell the bounces. It's designed to stop you from fighting that dominant morning flow. Moving on to part 2, the gears, multi-timeframe EMA confluence. Now that our map is set, let's look at how moving averages drive the market's momentum. Think of these 4 color-coded lines exactly like the gears of a high-performance vehicle. The fast cyan line, that's your first gear, tracking immediate intraday flow. The blue line smooths that noise out as a medium-term shift. But the real heavy lifters are the gold hourly EMA, which acts as the institutional backbone and heavy armor, and the massive red daily EMA, which is your macro magnet. Knowing whether the market is shifting via that fast cyan line or slamming into the gold institutional backbone is absolutely essential for survival. So, the crucial concept here is what's called the MTF waterfall. This happens when all 4 of those time frames stack perfectly in order. When the cyan is above the blue, which is above the gold, which is above the red, man, the market is in total agreement. The source blueprint literally calls this the highest probability, easiest money you will ever see. You just buy the micro dips to the fast cyan line and ride that momentum. On the flip side, when the market faces a really deep pullback, you're looking for what the system calls the golden defense. When price trends away for hours and finally drops all the way back to touch that gold hourly line, it is a premier bounce zone. The algorithm recognizes that institutions literally use that specific gold line as heavy armor to reload their positions. All right, part 3, the engine, multi-histogram waves. We've seen the map, we've checked the gears, now let's meet the true mathematical core. This breakdown cleanly separates the distinct roles of our engine components. And they aren't just random indicators, right? They're a matrix. Wave A is your macro volatility tracker. It's hunting for market compression and squeezes. Wave B uses similar math, but acts as a profiler, basically interrogating pullbacks to ensure they're healthy and running low on volume. And finally, the ultra-fast wave C acts as your tactical sniper, filtering out all the noise to find the exact ignition point of a breakout. Now, to actually fire that sniper rifle, the Wave C engine requires 3 precise mechanical conditions to be met. There's no guessing here. The momentum absolutely must be on the correct side of the zero line, the current momentum must be rising, and, crucially, the previous bar has to be the absolute mathematical low point of the pullback cycle. This precise formula is designed to capture the exact tick where selling completely exhausts and flips over to buying. Section 4, Revealing Hidden Market Gems. Let's start synthesizing this by looking at some pro-level insights hidden right in the script's source code. That specific number right there, a volume drop of 25% or more below the 20-period average, is vital. When the wave-speed profiler detects a pullback, it's hunting for this exact threshold. If volume drops by 25%, the engine prints what's called a ghost volume node. It's visual, undeniable proof that counter-trend traders have lost their conviction and that large institutions are simply pausing. They aren't actually selling. Which brings us to the MTF compression coil. Moving averages aren't just lines drawn on a chart. They are real-time volatility trackers. And the blueprint reveals a brilliant hidden gem here. You want to watch for when the cyan, blue, and gold lines completely flatten out and pinch tightly together into a single knot. The market is winding up like a spring, and when the price finally breaks from that knot, the directional explosion is usually massive. Oh, and we definitely have to watch for the kiss of death cross. This happens when the fast intraday momentum, so your cyan and blue lines, violently snaps down through that gold institutional backbone we talked about. Once that structural failure happens, any subsequent retest or quote-unquote kiss back up to the bottom of that gold line hits an absolute concrete wall. The system flags it as a massive high-probability short. And never ever forget the rubber band snap. Intraday price is perpetually tethered to the fast macro trend represented by our red daily line. No matter how fast the intraday trend is running, if it stretches too far from that macro red line, creating this huge visual gap on the chart, well, the rubber band is stretched too far. A violent mean reversion snapback is practically guaranteed. Section 5, Synthesis, the A+ confluence stack. We've mapped the environment, we know the gears, now let's talk about finding the ultimate structural barriers. These are the true hidden gems of concrete walls. We're going way beyond just your standard 40-40 setups here. You want to look for those precise moments where a 20% or 40% extension aligns perfectly with our EMA confluence. Or even better, where a massive 40% extension directly overlaps with that center pivot. Those exact overlaps, that's where you find the strongest concrete walls in the entire matrix. Now, to take a full-size, absolute high-conviction trade off one of those concrete walls, your execution has to perfectly align with all 5 of these strict rules. You need the map at a prime quant level. You need the environment extended. You need the engine's wave C firing a pristine trigger. And you need the higher time frame macro trend confirming the bias. If you only have 3 of these, cut your size. But if you have all 5, that's when you strike. And when all those rules align, something genuinely special happens under the hood. When the ultra-fast microtrend hooks perfectly in sync with the macro higher time frame, which the system beautifully calls the ocean tide, the algorithm prints a purple star right on the chart. This unlocks what the source code literally refers to as God mode. It is the single highest conviction print across the entire system. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. You now see the matrix for exactly what it is. You have the structural map of the pivot levels, you have the moving average gears of momentum, and you have the mechanical math of the histogram engine. The entire blueprint is right in your hands. So, are you ready to engage God mode?